Hey guys, I'm Ryan, and on this episode of Baking with Ryan, I'm going to show you how to make a Christmas tree cake that's decorated entirely with frosting. This cake is one of the tallest that I've ever made. It's 8 layers tall, and it's also totally customizable. You can put whatever ornaments that you want on top. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. The ingredients you'll need to make the cake are white vanilla buttercream, green vanilla buttercream, edible gold spray, and plenty of assorted sprinkles. We'll use these as the ornaments. As for the actual cakes, I baked 2 9x13 cakes. One of them is vanilla dyed red and the other is chocolate. You can find tutorials for each of these cakes in the description below. Like always, there is one ingredient that I forgot to mention. You'll also need candy melts to make the star. Let's begin by cutting out the cake layers. I did this by using paper templates. Here are the sizes that you'll need. Before cutting the cake layers, take the cake out of the pan and place it on a cutting board. Then level off the top of the cake using a cake leveler. Now use the template and cut out 4 layers from each cake. Be sure to do this with alternating colors. For example, I made my biggest cake red, and then I made my second biggest chocolate, and then I repeated the process. It's time to assemble the cake. Begin by piping some white buttercream on top of a cake board on top of a cake turntable. Then place down the biggest layer of cake. Now pipe more white buttercream on top of the red cake. Then spread it out using an offset spatula. After that, place on the second layer of cake. This cake should be the second largest layer and it should also be a different color than the first. Just like before, pipe more buttercream on the second layer of cake. Then spread it out with an offset spatula. Just like before, repeat the process by placing on the next cake layer, which is a little bit smaller and the opposite color. Continue this process alternating between different cake colors until you use up every single layer. In the end, this cake is going to be 8 layers tall, so be sure that your cake is perfectly straight. Once the cake is all stacked up, start frosting it with green buttercream. Be sure to cover the entire cake in green buttercream, leaving no areas uncovered. First, smooth out all of the buttercream with a cake smoother. Then use an offset spatula to fill in any holes and smooth it out again. Once it's completely smooth, place the cake in the fridge for 30 minutes until it's firm. Once it's out of the fridge, begin piping the leaves of the Christmas tree. I'm doing this using a Wilton tip number 30. As you can probably tell, this process takes a very long time. For me, it took about 40 minutes. If you want to cut down on this time, you could also use a Wilton 1M piping tip. This piping tip is a bit bigger and it'll be much faster to cover the cake. As you're doing this piping, be sure that the leaves cover every single spot of the cake and that there's no gaps. Now that the entire cake is covered in leaves, it's time to prepare the decorations. To make the star that's going on top of the cake, you'll need white candy melts and a star template. I'll link the one that I used in the description below. To make the stars, I began by placing the star template under a silicone mat. You could also place it under parchment paper. Then take some melted candy melts that are put in a piping bag and just trace the edges of the star. Once all of the edges are traced, fill it in. When the stars are completely dry, spray them with gold spray. Wait till the first side dries and then spray the second side. Another cool thing that you can do to the star is add some gold sprinkles on top before the gold spray dries. It's time to add on the ornaments. I'm using sprinkles for this, but you could also use M&Ms or Skittles. Try to place on all of the ornaments freely with no specific pattern. Just be sure that no 2 ornaments of the same color are touching. The final step of this cake is to place the star on top. Now, all that's left is to add on the snow. To make the snow, use a sifter and sift powdered sugar all over the top of the cake. Now, all that's left is to cut into the cake. The inside is the very best part. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more cakes every single week.